And we're back talking about juicy information about what takes place on college campuses. Now, before the end of the break, we were talking about cheating and infidelity. Now, what I know is that men and women typically have different responses or definitions or perspective on what cheating is. So let's get into a discussion here. If you're in a relationship, what is permitted, what is not, what is cheating, what is monogamy? Let's talk about it. How do you define cheating?
Cheating, like in a broad terms, I think cheating is anything I wouldn't want to tell whoever I'm with, or he wouldn't want to tell me. Anything that's hidden to me is some type of cheating. If you are out with this girl and you can't tell me that you went and ate with her, that means there's something wrong with it. That means there was more to it than what really.
You see, I don't agree with that because I'm going through or have gone through a similar situation with that, and like I have a lot of lady friends, and they're just friends. I mean, you know, they're more like sisters to me, and like, you know, the significant other that I'm on with and off with sometimes, she has a problem with me not telling her where I'm at and who I'm with all the time, and I feel as though if she knows who the girl is, why tell her every single time? It's none of her business.
But that is the one you're in a relationship with. So the question is, what relationship do you value more? The one with your friend or the one with your
value
girlfriend?
the relationship with my girl more. But the thing is, though, a lot of my lady friends have been my friends for half a decade. Mm-hmm. You know, but way before I met my significant other. And she has a problem with me going out, like, you know.
So does she define that as cheating? Is that,
you know what, she doesn't
she
doesn't define it as cheating, but she has it in her mind that something's funny is going on.
Cinnamon, I mean, what is your perspective as a woman in terms of what cheating actually is?
Any type of emotional connection to the opposite sex, or need it be the same sex, that I would find offensive or taken away from my attention.
Well,
so,
based
say for
upon,
example,
go ahead.
He wants to spend money going somewhere else, like with his friends even. I think that can be considered cheating because you didn't discuss this with me.
So you're disallowing him to fellowship?
No, I'm just saying
but you just said that
you need to discuss it with me. That's cheating if you're not allowing me to have a say-so.
But let's talk about what are grounds for termination of a relationship. For instance, if I have a friend prior to our relationship and we talk on the phone and I don't tell you about it, does that warrant the dismissal of the relationship versus if I had sex with someone else out of our relationship? I mean, are certain things forgivable and other things not?
It depends on the person.
I say it all depends on context, to be honest. 'Cause I know plenty of people that have been cheated on. It was a sexual relationship with someone else and they still stayed together. They said they were going to work out whatever was wrong. So I think it's all situational, but
is there, for instance, we're here at Kent State University. Is there a lot of cheating going on this campus?
I'm not at liberty to say that.
There has to be.
I mean,
well, I'm gonna say it. Yes,
there
is.
has to be.
There is.
I mean,
okay.
It's not.
And so, what is the typical length of a relationship on this campus?
See, it depends on who you're talking about. Like, you know, the black community is so small that a lot of us know each other, and it seems to me that a lot of blacks don't have relationships. Period. So the blacks who do have relationships, it's extensive. You know, maybe like a year or two. Other than that, a lot of the black students just don't have relationships as far as like committed relationships. Now,
so are they just in sex ships, flesh connections?
Well, yeah. If I can use your word, yeah.
Is that the standard amongst white students typically at Kent or any other university across the country? Are they more relationship focused or sexual focused?
I think it depends on like what religious background they come from.
Okay.
Because I've noticed like my friends that are like just kind of uber religious, you know, they tend to be in longer relationships and, you know, like hold out for marriage and all that sort of thing. People that weren't raised going to church or anything like that, they just kind of fly by the seat of their pants.
You know, it's interesting you say that because oftentimes when people come from religious backgrounds, right, they're very religious. Once they come on a college campus, they give up their religion for spirituality. And the one thing that's different about being religious and being spiritual in the way that they perceive it, no longer do they live by the code. No longer do they live by the book. Now it's more some personal relationship with God, which allows them to be free to do what they want to do.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that, according to what I've seen and witnessed at Kent.
Okay.
when it comes to, and this may start a brouhaha right now, but what I've noticed is when it comes to Islam, the women that I've met of Islam, whether they're African, African American, whether they're Arab, whether they're any other ethnic background, the women of Islam tend to stick with their beliefs to the core. Now, it may be 2 or 3 that deviate, but when it comes to Christianity, that's where the deviation comes from as a whole. I mean, I've noticed it so much. And it could be the fact that more Christians come to liberal colleges more, because Kent is a liberal school.
So you're saying the Muslims on campus are virgins?
No, I'm not saying that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that neither. I'm saying it tends to be that women of Islam tend not to deviate from the
what?
Absolute truth of Islam.
So they don't drink, they don't curse, they don't have sex, they don't do any of that.
Hey, from what I've noticed, yes. And I'm sorry to say that, but yes, that's what I've noticed.
But now the Christians on campus is what you're saying. Those are the ones that go buck wild.
Not all Christians, but I'm saying the majority.
You're shaking your head, yes.
I've heard that.
More Christians tend to deviate from the word of Christ.
What have you seen?
And from my experience, yes, it's easy for you to be kind of a hypocrite because you've been taught and you've been structured in this environment for so long, and then when you get to college and you have the freedom to kind of just be who you are, you don't think about your religious connection.
And if I can bring
as a Christian,
and if I can say,
and I'm not saying anything wrong about Christianity. It's just
it's nothing.
I think what happens is in the academic environment, especially in college, in high school, you're not really taught, to like experiment. You're kind of taught this is the way it is.
Yeah.
This is who discovered it, and that's why it is the way it is. In college, you're taught to experiment on things, challenge ideas, go out there, make mistakes. Because most of the things that we have today were just stumbled upon. And so that they take that mentality into their relationships.
So the culture, the college culture breeds this type of behavior is what you're saying.
I'm thinking
that causes a deviation from their faith.
But how come it doesn't, I guess, absorb that mentality of people
of other
Islam,
faiths?
Or other faiths, actually. Because I mean, Hindus.
Are any of you people of faith? Christian, Muslim, Jewish, anything?
When it comes to
like, for instance, what is your faith, Kareem?
What is my faith? My faith is anything that's pertaining to my ideological belief. For example, I believe Christ existed.
Okay.
And therefore, if Christ existed and if he taught peace, which is mentioned in the New Testament, then how come I cannot be of Christ?
Okay. And so, that's great. And I don't want to deviate from the conversation, but I guess ultimately what I'm trying to ask is, as people of faith, if any of us are, how can we maintain our moral position and not be negatively influenced by the culture that we're on? Because it would seem kind of difficult
if that's the
to
case,
walk
then
the path of the straight and narrow.
The only answer to that is just follow the prophets then. Because that's what people of Islam do. They just follow the prophet. Follow the prophet. That's the only answer to the question then.
I think it's all about your discipline too. I mean, you just have to think about college as being an environment of how you learn about yourself, how you discipline yourself, how you reach your goals. And if you don't have that discipline and you don't have certain holes filled in, if you don't have that foundation, you will fall, maybe prey to some of the...
I think people do what they're willing to live with. Getting back to the whole infidelity thing, I have like the worst guilty conscience in the world. If I'm checking a lady out and we're like flirting and stuff and I'm with somebody, I'll start to get that gut-wrenching feeling. I'll get the adrenaline pumping.
Because you're a good man.
And, it's like in the back of my mind, I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this, but I am,
Well, that's a good segue into what I want to talk about, because, we've spoken about sex, but let's talk about relationships. I mean, how does sex, in essence, even though today it's a normal, natural part of relationships for many people, how does that negatively affect our relationships? Oftentimes, sex can get in the way of a healthy relationship. Do we see that taking place at Kent?
You're saying how does sex do what now?
Sex can oftentimes short-circuit a relationship. And so now sex becomes the main form of communication. So you know each other based upon his hips and her thighs and breasts and penises and vaginas. And that becomes your main form of communication. But you don't know the person's goals, their interests, their passions, their likes, their dislikes. There wasn't enough time taken to get to know that individual because the foundation of your relationship was sexual. So do you see where sex can negatively affect a person's relationship? That's what we want to talk about on the other side of this break. We'll be right back.